What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got very big news from the Digimon TCG. We have got the second and final secret rare from EX-03. It's a big new level 7 it's worth getting excited about. And for the first time in what feels like quite a while, we've got ourselves a new keyword skill as well. We've got quite a lot of Digimon to be talking about, honestly. We've got half a dozen cards we need to be talking about. Translations from the lovely folks over at DigimonCard.dev. And the lovely Rust Marrow over on Twitter, who we've generally been using for One Piece translations, but is apparently translating Digimon as well, because they're awesome. So let's start off with a nice little level 4. Let's start off with Slayerdramon. Now, what we've got here is 5 costs to play normally, 2 costs to Digivolve, 5,000 power, all fairly standard. When Digivolving, you trash 1 Digivolution card from one of your opponent's Digimon. Fairly standard blue skill, if I'm honest with you. And as an inheritable skill, on your opponent's turn, when an opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards would Digivolve, increase the cost by 1. This is sneaky very, very good. Especially now it's a big deal because it's a level 4 with an inheritable skill. So realistically, you're not actually going to get this until you hit a level 5. But regardless, this is good. Like, if your opponent's got level 3s on the field, brilliant. They're all of a sudden going to take an extra memory to Digivolve up. That little 1 memory here or there throughout the game adds up very, very quickly. Now, we've either got Slayerdramon here as well, 7 costs to play normally, 3 costs to Digivolve, 7,000 power, and when Digivolving you trash 2 Digivolution cards from one of your opponent's Digimon. Then one of your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards can neither attack nor block until the end of your opponent's turn. Again, this is fairly standard stuff. Getting rid of evolution sources, Green's been doing that literally since the starter deck. And the very first one, the first blue one anyway. And can't attack or block if they got no evolution sources. Again, we've seen this before. They're good skills, don't get me wrong. They're not skills about which we're getting very excited. So maybe let's take a look at the new Wingdramon, because this one's got a lovely new skill. And what we've got here is a level 4, 5 costs to play normally, 3 costs to Digivolve, 6,000 power. Interesting to note that the 3 cost to Digivolve is expensive for a level 4. We'd expect it to be 2. And also it can Digivolve from either blue or green, so at least we've got that. And what we've got is that you can Digivolve from a Digimon whose name contains Dracomon for just 2 memory. Basically, it should be a 2 memory to Digivolve. It's actually a 3 memory to Digivolve, but if you Digivolve from a Digimon whose name contains Dracomon, then you can Digivolve for a 2 cost anyway. It's fine. It's fine. We're alright with that. We can live. But what we've got here is a new keyword skill, Evasion. And essentially what that means is, when this Digimon would be deleted, you may suspend it to prevent that deletion. And of course, at this stage, Evasion sounds right. That sounds like a really good name for this skill. Here's the thing, and this is fairly important. You have to suspend the Digimon in order to get this skill, in order to stop being deleted. Now, I think it's very important to point out, it doesn't say deleted by battle or deleted by card effect or anything along those lines. It just says deleted. So in any way it would be deleted, you suspend it and it's saved. Here's the problem. You're kind of going to be suspending it a lot anyway. Because, well, you need to be attacking and blocking and things of that nature. And of course, most of the time, most Digimon, the general rule is that you cannot attack unsuspended Digimon. You have to be suspended in order to be attacked, and if you are suspended, you cannot suspend to stop that. So it's not actually going to come in handy all that often. It's not as amazing as it first sounds, but something like a Gaia Force coming out unexpectedly, you would be able to suspend yourself to save yourself from that, which isn't too bad. And any Digimon that can attack unsuspended Digimon, this will be very cool. But if you are already suspended, you cannot suspend to save yourself. And unfortunately, a lot of the time, that means you're not actually going to be able to use this because you're going to be suspended when your opponent would be trying to delete you anyway. Sorry about that. And we've got an inheritable skill here on all turns. While this Digimon has Dramon or Examon in its name, it gains Evade. So it doesn't just have Evade as a regular skill. As long as you've got Dramon or Examon in its name, you get Evade as an inheritable skill as well, which is rather lovely. Now, moving up into our level 5, we've also got a new Wingdramon coming in. And what we've got here is 7 cost to play normally, 4 cost to Digivolve, 7,000 power. And just like we saw a moment ago, we've got, well, I mean, look, it's 1 more to Digivolve than it should be, but it can Digivolve from either blue or green. And if you evolve from Cordramon, you only pay 3 memory, which is honestly what you should be paying for a level 5, not 4. So you can take it down to what it should actually cost as long as you're Digivolving from Cordramon and only Cordramon. We've then got Evade. Again, we got that same keyword skill. If you would be deleted, you can suspend this Digimon to prevent that deletion. And on your turn, when you DNA Digivolve into Examon from your hand, this card can be treated as a level 6, which is very, very important. We're obviously going to get to Examon in a minute, and obviously there is going to be DNA Digivolution. But the fact that you can treat a level 5 as a level 6 just means that your DNA Digivolution is going to be so much easier to pull off. That's a good thing. We've then got an inheritable skill. At the end of your turn, you may DNA Digivolve this Digimon with one of your other Digimon with Dramon in its name into a Digimon from your hand, paying the cost. Sorry, I lied, that's not an inheritable skill, that's just an end of turn skill, because again, you are basically DNA Digivolving with this dude. So lots of DNA Digivolution. The actual inheritable skill on all turns, while this Digimon has Dramon or Examon in its name, it gains Evade. So it's another Digimon that can give Evade as an inheritable skill. It is kind of funny how they're trying to make you Digivolve this from Cordramon, and yet this has the same inheritable skill as Cordramon, but they just really want you to have Evade, alright? And honestly, if you're unsuspended on your opponent's turn and they try and play an option card to delete you, this is going to be an absolute lifesaver. So I'm kind of down with it, honestly, ladies and gentlemen. I am kind of down with it. And there is a level 6 here we need to talk about as well. It is Slayerdramon, and this all fits into the same evolution line. So honestly, it makes sense. Feels like it would be mean if we left out Slayerdramon, so let's not do that. 12 cost to play normally, 4 cost to Digivolve from either blue or green, 12,000 power. And what we've got here is, you can Digivolve from Wingdramon or Grounddramon for a free cost, which is important because 4 cost to Digivolve is higher than normal. That is higher than we would generally want to pay, that is higher than we would usually expect. So, it's like the other ones we've seen. You're essentially paying 1 extra to evolve, unless you choose the perfect one from which to evolve. Then, on all turns, once per turn, when this Digimon is suspended, unsuspend this Digimon. Love it! Of course, that would count if you were attacking, you suspend, you unsuspend. There's nothing here that just says, when you suspend from an opponent's effect or any of that. Well, however you're suspended, you unsuspend. Do bear in mind, it's all turns. This is your turn and your opponent's turn. So, that's kind of good. This is a nice thing. Because you can do it on your turn and your opponent's and yours and your opponent's, etc. I love it. Then, at the start of your opponent's main phase, by suspending one of your Digimon with Dramon or Examon in its name, your opponent must immediately attack with one of their Digimon. I kind of love this. It's a skill we just don't see very often at all. Forcing your opponent to attack, but I kind of love it. You suspend one of yours to make your opponent attack, but that means that they cannot set things up. And you can force them to attack and then block it straight away if you've got a blocker. Essentially, what you do is you force your opponent's hand. You make it so that if they were trying to attack with a few here and there, they can't do that. One of them's got to attack right now, and I adore it. This one, I think, is one we can have an awful lot of fun with. Then we've got an inheritable skill at the start of your opponent's main phase. By suspending one of your Digimon with Dramon or Examon in its name, your opponent must immediately attack with one of their Digimon. Yeah, exactly the same deal here. It's the same skill we just saw, but now it's as an inheritable skill rather than as a main skill. But make no mistake, this is fun. and this is going to force people into an awkward situation, and I think you can really enjoy this one. But then we get to your big old level 7. We've got Examon. Now this is, of course, your big level 7, your secret rare, the second secret rare in the set, and this is quite a big deal, literally and figuratively. 15 cost to play normally, 5 cost to Digivolve, 15,000 power, all pretty standard for a level 7. And we've got both a red and blue dual colour Digimon. It's not just Digivolving from green or blue, it is a proper dual colour green and blue Digimon. But you can also DNA Digivolve a green level 6 and a blue level 6 for 0 memory. But bearing in mind your Wingdramon is a level 5 and will totally count here. Although do please bear in mind, Examon has to DNA Digivolve from a green and a blue, whereas Wingdramon only counts as a blue, so you would still need an actual level 6 green to pull this off. But still, that DNA Digivolution is going to be interesting. Then, when you Digivolve, you can place a green or blue Digimon with Dramon in its name from your hand to the bottom of this Digimon's evolution sources. But if you DNA Digivolved, you can play a green or blue Digimon with Dramon in its name and 12,000 power or less from your hand for 0 memory, for no cost. You don't have to pay. But remember, Wingdramon has Dramon in its name and has 12,000 power or less, and can Jogress evolve into an Examon. So one thing you can be doing here is you evolve up, Jogress style, DNA Digivolution style, into Examon, and then play a Wingdramon, and then you're already halfway to your next Examon. Do bear in mind you've got to play it from your hand, so you've got to actually have the Digimon in hand in order to make this work, which is not an ideal scenario, but it could still work. It could still work rather nicely indeed. And the thing is, right, there's so many different options for playing Dramon, it's kind of hard to even know where to start. Obviously, I've shown you in this video Pale Dramon, Crisp Pale Dramon, and I've shown you Core Dramon, but there's just a billion other ones out there in this set and in future sets and in past sets that you can actually use here, and that's kind of amazing. And you're playing them for free. And then on all turns, once per turn, when this Digimon is suspended, you unsuspend this Digimon and suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. But it seems to be, and the translation we've got from Russ Murray seems pretty good here, it's just when this Digimon is suspended. Not when it is suspended by an effect or any of that rubbish, just when it's suspended. So you go to attack, you get suspended, at which point you suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, you get a second attack while suspending one of their Digimon, and worth remembering that, as we said earlier in the video, suspended Digimon are the ones that you can attack, and all of a sudden this becomes very, very interesting indeed. We got Jogress Evolution, we've got adding inheritable skills, we've got playing cards for free, and then we've got attack and immediately unsuspend while suspending. I cannot be the only one that thinks this looks proper good. Now we have also got an option card we should just finish off with here. It's Avalon's Gate. It is a free cost blue and green option card. Activate one of the following effects unless you control a Digimon with Examon in its name, in which case you activate both. Suspend one of your opponent's Digimon and give one of your Digimon piercing, and unsuspend this Digimon. Now, the first skill there is pretty important. If you suspend them, you can attack them. If you've got piercing, you perform a security check after you knock them out, or delete them. So essentially what you're doing here is playing this card, suspending one of their Digimon, attacking it in battle, deleting it, and then performing a security check immediately, which is good. And you unsuspend as well. That's pretty good. As a security, you suspend an opponent's Digimon and unsuspend one of yours. This seems like it was worth waiting for. I mean, I love new keyword skills. Although it's not quite as good as it probably could have been, it's still an interesting keyword, and this new level 7 looks like it could absolutely make some waves. But I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk Digimon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wassy Plays.